channel if you happen to be new here. My name is Jess. Today I am finally doing my February wrap-up. I actually had a really great reading month and I can't wait to talk to you guys about what I have read. A couple of these I don't have with me because they're either in my car or I gave them back to my husband, but I do want to go over what I read in February, what I am currently still in the middle of reading because I do have a few of those books. I'm in the middle of about 3 books right now. I'm not going to be doing a March TBR because I'm actually doing the sci-fi readathon, which you guys can find the announcement video for that on my channel. But I did want to kind of show you guys the books that I have read, am still currently reading, and I'm just going to kind of wing the rest of March. I'm going to try to read a lot more sci-fi in March. It is the month of sci-fi, so yeah, I didn't pick a TBR because I plan on actually going to the library and picking up some books that sound interesting to me. So if you guys are at all interested in seeing what I read in February, just keep watching. So the first book I read in February is a book that I'm not super impressed with. Well, maybe not so much the book as the author. My full review for this will be going up eventually on my blog, but you guys have seen me speak about this before on my channel. I have an entire review video for it, so I won't go into too much detail, but it would be Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. All I'm going to say about this is that I really don't like Orson Scott Card. I thought the storyline was a really interesting storyline, but I was otherwise bored with the story. I thought that Ender was an interesting character until he started doing things that didn't really make sense to me. I did give this 3 out of 5 stars, although looking back on it, I could probably give it 2, only because I found the story mildly interesting and some of the characters interesting, but other than that, I was quite bored most of the time. The next book I read is actually a Star Wars book. It is Smugglers Run. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I feel like this was written for teenagers as opposed to adults, which I'm not offended by. I think I just wasn't really expecting it. The story pacing is really good. I obviously love the characters because these are characters I've known and loved for a very long time, so I think that's why I liked it at all. But I did give it 3 out of 5 stars just because the story seemed a little bit lacking in information and depth. It just seemed to be like, if you ever read those stories where somebody's just like telling you something and not really showing you anything, I think that's kind of the problem that I had with this. I didn't absolutely hate it though, so like I said, I did give it 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is actually a book that my husband recommended to me. If you guys saw, my husband picks my February TBR, and that would be The Worded Man. I am kind of debating on whether or not to continue with the series. I did really like the first book except for the ending of it. If you guys are interested, the full review is on my blog, but I just really, there were a couple of points, like there's a lot of incest and rape in this book, and it was really hard to stomach at times. I did actually read this with AJ from Book Breakdown, and he kind of felt the same way that I did. It was just really cringe and hard to read. But other than that, the story was really good, except for the last 2 chapters. I feel like the characters started acting completely different than how they had the rest of the book, and it felt very rushed. So I don't know if I'm going to continue with the series because a lot of the things that happened in the first one are going to continue throughout the rest of the series, as well as there's a ton of POVs that are introduced, and I'm not a fan of books with a crazy ton of POVs. So I don't know if I'm going to continue with the series, but I did give The Worded Man 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is actually a gift from AJ from the Book Breakdown, as well as G from Book Roast, and it'd be The Loneliest Girl in the World by Lauren James. They actually sent me this for my birthday along with a couple of other books, and I dived immediately into this one. It is about a girl named Rami who is born on a spaceship. She's not supposed to be born. Her parents are actually a part of a team along with a bunch of other astronauts that are supposed to repopulate and start a new planet because we have kind of used up all of our resources on Earth. So she's born on this spaceship and her entire family dies. Like her mother and father die, as well as all of the astronauts on the spaceship. And she's kind of left by herself to make it to this new planet. And there are little embryos that she carries with her that they're going to use also to repopulate the planet. And eventually she gets a transmission one day that there is another spaceship that is actually joining her on the journey. And she starts to kind of fall in love with the guy who runs the other spaceship. Nothing is what it seems though. This book was slightly predictable, but there were a couple of times that I was still really shocked. I liked the writing style. It is simple, but it was still paced very well, and I really connected with the main character. I actually genuinely enjoyed her. I liked all the characters in this book, the whole 2 of them that there are. But I really like this book. So if you guys are interested in like a sci-fi kind of contemporary love story, I think you'll really enjoy this, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. The next thing I read is actually a comic book, and I'll put it up here on the screen. It is Shudder Volume 1. I really liked this. I gave it 5 stars. It's probably one of my favorite comic books of all time, albeit I haven't read a whole lot of them. I really enjoyed this because it's about a girl whose father's kind of like a modern day Han Solo. He like is really into like space and travels to different planets and kind of gets into a boatload of trouble. And one day he dies, and he kind of leaves his legacy to her. and she just decides she doesn't want anything to do with it. She just wants to have a normal everyday life. She gets a roommate, which I actually really like because her roommate is transgender and they live in like an alternate New York where there's aliens and stuff. But one day somebody actually tries to kill her and she finds out it is her siblings that she didn't know that she had. So the story kind of goes from there. I have only read volume 1, but I plan on reading the rest of them because I really, really like it. I think we only have single editions from this point on, but I think I might start buying it myself. I also really liked the art style in it, which sort of shocked me because it didn't look like something that I was going to enjoy. But I absolutely did, and I'm really excited to continue with it. I did also finish the Deadman Wonderland series. I read 11, 12, and 13 this month. I'm very, very sad. I actually borrowed these from a friend, so I don't have the physical copies with me. I love this series. I love this series so much that I think I might buy the actual entire manga because I genuinely, genuinely loved it. Shiro is my favorite character. I think that she's so cool. And without giving too much away, I definitely like Shiro the most in the second half of the manga, like the last 5 or 6. Things get really, really interesting, and I'm really sad that it's over, but I did really enjoy it. I gave most of them anywhere between 4 and 5 stars. The next book I have here is actually a book that I have been meaning to read for a long time, and I've said I'm going to read for a long time, and it would be We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. I don't know what I was expecting from this book, but it ended up being way more than I thought it was going to be. It's about a girl who suffers a tragedy back at home in California. Her grandpa actually dies, and you find out later there's a lot more information behind that. But she runs away essentially to New York. She was going away for college anyway, and she just kind of cut ties with everybody. She doesn't talk to anybody, she doesn't tell anybody what happened or where she's going. And her friend that she used to be really, really good friends with back in California, her best friend actually comes to visit her, and that's what this story follows, kind of their interactions. And I really overall liked this story. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The writing style was really well developed. I think the characters were really well developed as well. The only thing I didn't like about it is the main character. When she is speaking, it's really hard to connect with her because a lot of the time it's just dead air, honestly, when she's in a scene, which is literally every page of this book. So that's the only thing. I really disliked the main character, but I still felt for her. I still liked the story. I'm not opposed to main characters who are unlikable if it benefits the story, and I think it does here. I just didn't really enjoy her as a character, and it kind of lowered the enjoyment of the story overall, which is why I gave it 4 characters, which is why I gave it 4 stars instead of 5, but I still really enjoyed this, and if you guys have been wondering about this, if you have it on your shelves and can't decide if you want to read it, I would definitely recommend it. It also has buy rep in it as well. And then getting into my most favorite read for the month, I loved this book so much. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm going to say this once: run, don't walk, and buy this book, and it is Starfish. This book was not at all what I thought it was going to be. This is about an Asian girl who lives with her Caucasian mom because her parents have actually gotten divorced, and she doesn't really know anything about that side of her father's family. And her mom is seriously the worst person on the planet. I absolutely hated her. Every single time she was in a scene in this book, I just wanted to throw it across the room. It really made you feel for the main character, Kiko. But this story is about Kiko, our main character. She's trying to get into an art school, and she's unsuccessful in getting into that art school. So she decides she's gonna go look at schools in California. She goes away with a boy that she has known for her entire life pretty much. And I just really love this story. This is a very vivid story. It really made you see and feel things as the author was describing it. It's completely underrated. I don't know why no one's talking about this. It is such a wonderful book, and I like that there's a lot of Asian representation in this as well. It doesn't seem forced, it seems completely natural, and I absolutely loved that. As somebody who is a fan of Asian culture but obviously am not Asian, I really enjoyed this because it seemed so genuine and so honest, and I really, really loved it. So like I said, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and you have to read it. You have to read it like right now. Alright, now I'm going to get into a couple of the books that I am still reading right now. As you guys know, like I said, I already did my March TBR when I did my sci-fi-a-thon, but I am still in the middle of 2 other books that are not on that TBR, so I wanted to kind of go over them with you. I am about halfway through The Black Prism. I am buddy reading this with my friend Sam. I really like it. I'm taking my time with it though because there's a lot of information. This is a very intense fantasy book, and I really am liking it though. If you guys know at all, if you saw the TBR that I did with my husband, I hated this book the first time I read it. I actually really, really like Gavin, the main character. I still also really hate Kip, but that's okay. I'm still loving this. Kip's much more tolerable this time around, I guess, but he's still not an enjoyable character, but the book is far more enjoyable as of right now than I remember it being originally. And the next book that I'm still currently reading is actually Nixia Unleashed. I absolutely love this book so far. If you guys are familiar at all with my channel, I really loved the first one, and I did actually get an ARC from NetGalley for the second one, and I'm really pumped. I've had this book pre-ordered for a very long time. Pretty much the second I could have it pre-ordered, I did. I am so excited for it to finally come out and have the physical copy of it. I really love the characters in this book. I love the storyline. I really just love everything about it. It is like younger adults set in space trying to work together with an alien race to mine this super valuable and important substance that they have on their planet. And I really like the storyline. I think that it's very interesting, and like I said, I love all of the characters, so I'm really liking it. I'm about 27% of the way through with it, and I can't wait to finish it. Alright guys, so that is it for what I read in February and what I am currently reading. If you guys are interested at all in my TBR for March, the Sci-Fi-a-thon TBR is on my channel. I know I did this. I like forgot how to speak for a second. This is actually the second time I have filmed this video today. But yeah, so I hope you guys had a good week, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!